because that Justin he's gonna fight with me, but Paddy, if Paddy wins, he's gonna try to avoid me and trying not to fight me because he's not man like just.
So here's what went down when these two touched gloves. My mind was racing because Gaethje wasn't just stepping forward like some hopeful challenger. This dude was moving like he had a death sentence to deliver, casually flicking out those low kicks like he was planting landmines. Then boom, that looping right hand connected with a sick thud and just completely rocked him. My heart practically stopped because I'm thinking, no way this is happening already. Before the crowd even settles into their rhythm, that's when my gut started telling me something was off. Paddy began stacking those right hands, working the body methodically. You could watch his confidence building with each landed shot. But then Justin unleashed this overhand that looked like a wrecking ball. And suddenly, this whole thing stopped being about technique. It morphed into this savage war of who would crack first. I'm sitting there thinking, someone seriously miscalculated something here. And if you believe that wild opening was just random chaos, wait until you discover what people are whispering about those between round moments. That's where this story gets really twisted.
I think that there's a difference between having a meritocracy in sports and trying to make justifications for making the fights that are going to be most profitable for the business. Does that make sense? Because, I think, when you have this star and all these people that love tuning in for Paddy Pimblett fights, I'm not trying to necessarily agree with Armand that the UFC wants Paddy to be the champion of the division. I just think they want Paddy to be interesting enough to continue making fights that are going to make them money. And I think there's a slight difference with that. And I think that, I think they took the threat of Gaethje retiring as a serious one if he wasn't going to fight for some kind of a belt in this next one.
Then, next thing I know, a knee caught Justin mid-stride, and this brutal uppercut exploded right under Paddy's jaw, dropping him to the canvas. He scrambled back up through sheer willpower, only to get kicked down again almost instantly, and this insanity just kept snowballing so fast, it felt like watching controlled destruction. I watched Justin hunt him down like someone who genuinely doesn't give a damn about consequences. Like every heartbeat out there was borrowed. And that's absolutely terrifying to see in any fighter, because that only happens when they believe something massive is rightfully theirs. Gaethje, maybe feeding off that same energy, kept charging forward recklessly, almost deliberately walking into uppercuts, like getting hurt was just part of the plan. Then bam, the eye poke happened, blatant as hell, ugly as sin, completely obvious, and what made my stomach turn was hearing the crowd boo the wrong fighter, because confusion is exactly how scandals get born in these pressure cooker moments. And I'm telling you straight up, someone definitely gained from that exact instant. And they absolutely know it.
The big star, so is Paddy Pimblett. Are those the two best guys that should get the next shot against Topuria? Probably not. Armin is clearly, I think, the best fighter who isn't the champ in that division. But I think that obviously he has an issue with maybe people not caring as much about his fights as other people. So I think that's the issue. I don't believe it's because of the headbutt. It was like he got injured and didn't fight in the last one. Then the next excuse was the headbutt. I don't buy those as excuses. I think they're trying to make justifications for Paddy Pimblett or Gaethje, because they are bigger names than Armin. They want to give one of those guys the shot. I think that's what that is. And I think Paddy and Gaethje should be competitive. I don't think Armin versus either of those guys would be competitive.
The second round erupted with even more violence, and Justin was throwing bombs so hard he nearly toppled over with each power strike. Meanwhile, Paddy's uppercut kept snapping heads back like a metronome, almost mechanical in its precision. But here's what blew my mind. Gaethje just absorbed everything. He kept coming, weathered every shot. And there was this microsecond where his expression subtly shifted after eating a clean right hand, barely noticeable, and I swear something fundamental changed right then. Something we probably shouldn't discuss just yet. Those low kicks kept landing with bone-jarring impacts, takedowns turned into frantic scrambles, and then a knee connected that looked like a flash knockdown. Justin, smelling blood, absolutely unloaded, diving through upkicks to punish Paddy's face. And I'm watching thinking this is seconds away from either a definitive finish or complete mayhem. And either outcome changes everything overnight in this ruthless game.
Inside the octagon.
In this title, so we have an interim title shot. But I think we still got a really, really fun, exciting fight. Justin Gaethje is as exciting of a fighter as you're ever going to find. And Paddy Pimblett is, I don't know that he gets enough credit for his kind of all gas, no brakes style. You know, I think at this point, I think Paddy has done a pretty good job of quieting a lot of the critics, myself included. I think after the Jared Gordon fight, I think people believed maybe we'd seen the ceiling for Paddy, and that's about as good as he was going to.
Extending his analysis.
Somehow Paddy made it through, barely marked, but clearly drained. And when the third round opened with him getting dropped again, but like something from a nightmare, he bounced right back up. Yet Justin's pace, that constant pressure, slowed down just enough to notice. And let me tell you, that tiny, almost invisible decrease means everything in a battle this important, because that's exactly where doubt creeps in and starts corrupting choices. Jabs kept snapping, knees kept flying, and then another groin shot stopped everything cold, freezing the action completely. When they resumed, Paddy somehow appeared refreshed, while Justin, surprisingly, looked frustrated. And frustration in a contest like this, a war with everything riding on it, is extremely dangerous, because that's when fighters abandon strategy and start forcing opportunities that just aren't there. Moments that can create devastating errors.
Excited about that fight. I know that Paddy Pimblett's going to want to take it to the mat, but Justin Gaethje's a Division I All-American that if he doesn't want to get taken down, it's going to be really, really tough to take Justin down and to hold him there. So I'm really...
After hearing analysis.
Those final championship rounds were absolutely insane. Justin was launching everything at Paddy, not just everything he had, but the entire building, figuratively speaking, of course. Paddy's face showed the brutal damage he was absorbing, but his counterattacks were still precise enough to capitalize on every opening Gaethje left. His heart was completely off the charts. But here's what stuck with me. Heart can mask real damage, and in this particular case, somebody was definitely lying about their actual condition. Round 4 arrived, and the audience was wild. Absolutely feral. Watching this incredible showcase of devastating power meeting unstoppable will. Careers colliding right in front of them. Then another knee slammed the cup, and Justin dropped as the horn sounded. I stared at my screen thinking, this is going to look terrible once the truth finally surfaces, because it always does in this business.
Paddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Because that Justin, he's gonna fight with me, but Paddy, if Paddy wins, he's gonna try to avoid me and trying not to fight me because he's not man like Justin.
Then those scorecards hit. One judge saw it 48-47, and two others incredibly scored it 49-46. Suddenly, that interim strap was around Justin's waist. But my head was spinning. Hold up just a minute here. Because those numbers weren't just scoring rounds. They were cementing a particular story, and stories like this, especially with such wide margins in a disputed fight, never stay clean long. People are already calling it Fight of the Year. And sure, it was pure mayhem, a thrilling, violent display, but real classics usually don't come wrapped in this much controversy. Too many blank stares backstage, too many folks actively looking away, and if you honestly believe everyone involved, every analyst, every fighter, every fan supports that verdict, you're fooling yourself. I keep catching whispers, rumors, that something major was missed, something was ignored, something crucial that might only emerge once the adrenaline fades and cooler minds take over. Every time I rewatch that battle, I spot another detail, another subtle moment that feels wrong, like somebody knew something they shouldn't have known yet. This saga isn't finished, not by a long shot, because divisions remember nights like this. Fighters remember debts and commissions remember documentation, and if half of what I'm hearing holds water, this interim title is going to feel extremely temporary. So hold on to that uneasiness, because while cameras power down and crowds head home, questions are piling up, anger is quietly building, and the lightweight division right now feels like a powder keg ready to explode. When it finally does, you'll remember this exact night and understand this war never really ended.
Good fighter, but he's not unlike me at all. So the fact that I've got Ellis playing Justin Gaethje for me, and then I've got Luke, who's a better, faster, more powerful technical striker than him, I think it all goes into my favour.
You got Luke Riley above Justin. You're rating him above Justin Gaethje in the striking department already in his career, you reckon?
Yeah. Luke Riley's been fighting Thai in Thailand since he was 8 years old, lad. You know what I mean? When Justin Gaethje was wrestling, lad, Luke was fighting Thai and then doing amateur boxing, and Luke's striking is a class above, and people are going to see it over the next couple of years, lad. He's the striking version of me. His striking's phenomenal, lad, and I just can't wait for him to show everyone how good he is. And in a fight or two, he'll be fighting ranked opponents, lad, and he'll climb that featherweight rankings faster than I climb the lightweight ones. Promise you that.
Arman Tsarukyan, a major player in the lightweight landscape, delivered a razor-sharp response to all the chatter, declaring with total certainty that Justin Gaethje would definitely face him, while believing Paddy Pimblett would completely dodge such a direct test of his abilities. Right after Tsarukyan's cutting remarks, which also challenged the UFC's true intentions and Pimblett's actual preparedness for legitimate top-level competition, the whole conversation rapidly transformed and intensified. It highlighted the undeniable business factors that heavily shape title opportunities within the organization. Rather than presenting each matchup as purely skill-based, where the most qualified challenger earns their shot, focus clearly shifted toward how massive star power, huge fan engagement, and profitable financial returns are increasingly driving crucial decisions at the sport's highest level, creating space for a much broader and arguably more cynical perspective on how champions emerge.
Before he wants to beat Gaethje, everyone will be like, oh, Gaethje's done, he's path his best, this and that. But then when I beat Ilya, what's the excuse going to be then? It'll be, oh, Ilya was never that good. That's why Paddy beat him.
The debate quickly centered on profit-driven motivations, the hidden forces that push certain matchups forward. Focus then clearly shifted to a harsh evaluation of how marketability might actually often override pure, undiluted skill when determining title shot hierarchy. The whole discussion then swung dramatically toward whether famous fighters and established brand value really impact a fighter's championship opportunities more than their actual proven fighting ability, especially when comparing the raw, undeniable talent of someone like Arman Tsarukyan against bigger, more commercially appealing names such as Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. This questioning naturally sparked a much deeper and more uncomfortable examination of the real competitive fairness that exists within the ultra-competitive lightweight division.
Yeah, he was never a lightweight, all this and that. That's what it'll be, watch, you know what I mean? The goalposts get moved.
But as the conversation continued, Anthony Smith, an experienced commentator and former competitor, offered a distinctly more measured and balanced perspective, expertly redirecting attention away from the supposed conflicts and behind-the-scenes politics and back toward the pure magic of the matchup itself, instead of getting lost in heated debates about individual worthiness or complex booking politics. Smith very intentionally emphasized the natural excitement of the fight, highlighting its incredible entertainment potential. He showcased the compelling stylistic contrast between the fighters and how each competitor uniquely brings powerful, almost magnetic energy to the cage, reminding everyone that fundamentally, MMA is also about creating an incredible experience for the audience.
Hand time. Very nice, Justin.
Kenneth, another sharp student of the sport, smoothly transitioned from giving general praise for the athletes to a much more detailed and tactical breakdown of their potential encounter. After thoroughly examining each fighter's development, their current condition, and their mental approach, he then analyzed in depth how their distinct methods and individual fighting approaches might collide and interact dynamically inside the octagon. This careful analysis ultimately provided a comprehensive review of the intricate striking versus grappling dynamic that was expected, explaining exactly how this specific matchup offers additional layers of intrigue for the serious fight enthusiast.
Favourite vlogger, King of the Mat. I don't even know what to be asked today. 5 weeks out from fighting Justin. I am very tired. Had a big day's training already. Probably not gonna not do it though, am I? Can't not do it. It's a nice calorie burner. It's a good workout and it's good fun. We have a King of the Mat every year and we have a grading every year.
Still, despite all the ongoing commentary and criticism from numerous experts and fellow fighters, the conversation, fascinatingly, kept returning to Arman Tsarukyan's deeply personal stance and his direct interest in the outcome. Rather than just speaking theoretically about possible fights or general division politics, Arman spoke directly from his heart about this matchup's immediate and lasting effects on his own rising career. He explained, with complete conviction, his preferred result for the division, more significantly, spelled out exactly why he firmly believes one specific opponent would bravely meet him head-to-head, while the other, in his view, would definitely try to avoid the difficult challenge entirely, injecting a very personal element of conflict into the ongoing discussion.
Do not know if Justin, but it's going to be one of the two, make no mistake. Justin Gaethje is either going to be champion of the world or he's going to be retired. The next time we have this talk, the next time we get together and we're talking about a year in review or a year in preview, the great year to come, Justin Gaethje is either going to be champion of the world or he's going to be retired. And he's going to kick things off with an opportunity to be the champion of the world, which he earned a very hard way. By the way, that division is so difficult. 155 pounds. That is so hard. So now he's gonna go in there with Paddy. They're gonna call that the interim championship. I don't get it. I'm gonna call it interim championship too, but I don't get it. You got one champion.
After those sharp criticisms and comprehensive predictions from both Arman Tsarukyan and various respected analysts, focus then immediately shifted to Paddy Pimblett's eagerly awaited response to all the speculation and questioning. Rather than meeting the skepticism about his preparedness or his competitive level defensively, Paddy boldly discussed his complete readiness, the quality of his training partners, and quite skillfully drew compelling comparisons between his own approach and that of other accomplished fighters. Through this, he showed his deeply rooted belief in his own skills, the commitment and expertise of his camp, and most crucially, why he genuinely believes the specific dynamics of the potential fight would favor him perfectly, projecting complete confidence. The interim champion is basically the title holder.
It's a title of compassion. Like, there's not any amongst us that don't know what the word champion means. There's not any amongst us that believe you can have two champions at the same time. We know that that's impossible. But sometimes you show grace, right? There's something happening with your current champion and he's not able to make that walk. So we have an interim champion. And I like it. I'm for it. I'm one of the guys that likes the interim belt. I only share for you that in the case of Justin Gaethje, if we're at the same point at this time next year,
it needs to be a unified belt like that, right? After his persuasive talk about his striking advantages and his training intensity, Paddy then expertly shifted the discussion toward his desired upcoming fights and his deeply personal motivations. He laid out not just his preferred next opponents in the lightweight rankings, but also expressed with clear determination how these important victories would send a strong, undeniable statement to his many doubters. He strongly believes these wins would effectively silence critics questioning his potential, and would clearly prove that any previous justifications for his opponent's supposed abilities and higher positions would ultimately crumble when faced with his relentless work ethic and developing talents inside the cage.
Telling in this fight. Yeah. And now let's move to intangibles, because I think, so there's some obvious ones. Yeah. Justin Gaethje hasn't been all that active lately. You know, when you look back, one of the things that I like to do personally is watch the last 3 fights of each fighter, you know, because that's going to be the most recent body of work, and then some of their training videos that are current. You know, when I was looking at it, it actually surprised me that Dustin Poirier fight, which would have been the third most recent, was in 2023. Wow. Yeah. So, you know, we're now in 2026. So Justin Gaethje has not been all that active. So we have inactivity from Justin Gaethje. We have momentum for Paddy. Paddy's riding high. Paddy doesn't care what the world says about his opponent's record. Right. He doesn't care what the world says about getting Dana White privilege. He doesn't care about any of that.
No.
Paddy's riding high. Paddy feels like he's the best fighter in the world. He's giving respect to Gaethje, but not too much.
Walking in there to finish him. So let's get crystal clear about this pivotal moment. Yeah, he definitely got dropped by that right hand, and I mean a serious fight-changing right hand, and you know what that represents, correct? That's not just a glancing strike. That's the type of impact that throws a fighter's balance into chaos. A moment where the whole fight can shift instantly. It was a clean, devastating blow that clearly put him on his back, momentarily stealing his stability, and for that brief instant, threatening to finish the entire bout. That kind of power, that kind of accurate strike is something you absolutely cannot dismiss in understanding this fight.
Right. So that's another X factor. Now, those are bads on the Justin side. Let's get to bads on the Paddy side. We do look at the last three opponents of Paddy the Baddy, and then we look at the body of work of Justin Gaethje.
Right.
As you said, Justin Gaethje hadn't fought anybody outside of the top 5 in almost a damn decade.
Right. That's
so,
ridiculous.
You know,
in the murderer's row of 155.
and he's fought the best people at 155, period. Many of them he's fought multiple times.
Right.
So Paddy the Baddy is going to have a disadvantage. This will be the biggest fight Paddy the Baddy has ever been in. This will not be the biggest fight Justin Gaethje has ever been in.
Correct.
He's been in undisputed title fights with one of the greatest of all time in Khabib. He's been in there with top Dustin Poirier multiple times, Max Holloway, you name it.
Won an interim belt and put it on the ground.
Exactly. This Justin Gaethje has been there, done that, gotten the T-shirt, and it's been a decade since he did it.
Now let's completely change our attention from Paddy Pimblett's viewpoint and his upcoming promises to the legendary camp of Justin Gaethje. The conversation, predictably, moved to an intensive examination from both analysts and fellow fighters desperate to break down exactly how Gaethje prepares for these championship-level, high-pressure battles. They explored every element, his incredible physical conditioning, which is famous for its toughness and endurance, his brutal striking techniques, known for their force and accuracy, his frequently undervalued wrestling skills, rooted in his All-American background, and the sophisticated ways his particular camp strategies might tactically influence the rhythm and result of his next fights. This thorough investigation provided a much deeper insight into his careful preparation and the serious potential obstacles he might face inside the octagon against an elite-level adversary.
The fight's coming up very, very soon. We know Paddy's fighting Justin Gaethje, and if he beats Gaethje, he becomes the interim champion. After that, Dan Hooker's off his radar, right? He will not get to fight Dan Hooker. The only person he's going to fight next is either Ilia Topuria, if Ilia comes back soon, which I hope he does, because he only just became the champion, or it's going to be Arman Tsarukyan, right? Now, Arman Tsarukyan, a lot of people felt that he should have got the title shot. As we know, there was a few circumstances pulling out of the fight. He headbutted Dan Hooker when he beat him recently. And Dana White just kind of like admitted that definitely played a factor into him not getting a title shot.
Did the headbutt play any factor in the decision to not? And talking about preparation, let's return to Paddy Pimblett briefly.
Because he shared some incredible details about his demanding training regimen leading up to a possible war with Justin Gaethje. Speaking honestly and openly from his gym, Paddy reflected on his extremely grueling training sessions, offering fans an exclusive, inside look at the pure physical and psychological pressure involved. He broke down exactly how he carefully manages his conditioning, constantly sharpens his various abilities, and perhaps most importantly maintains his relentless motivation, all during the crucial weeks building towards such a monumentally important career-defining battle. It created a clear picture of his commitment and tactical preparation.
But if Paddy beats Justin, none of this matters because they ain't going to fight. But if he loses, I think we might see this fight happen pretty quick because remember, 1 week after UFC 324, and I'll be there. The week after, I'll be there as well in Sydney, Australia. UFC 325 is happening. Dan Hooker's going up against Benoit Saint-Denis. Tough, stylistic matchup for both men. Benoit Saint-Denis is going to try and grapple him. He's going to try and take him down because on the feet, Dan Hooker probably has his way. But Dan Hooker's not an easy man to take down. Remember, the man has a victory over Mateusz Gamrot. And yes, okay, Charles Oliveira just went out there, dominated and finished Gamrot pretty easily, respectfully to Gamrot, right? But that's Charles Oliveira, right? The man with some of the best grappling and the most submissions in the history of the sport.
Alright, so stepping away from the intense insights of training facilities and the raw perspectives of the athletes themselves, the discussion naturally moved to highly expert analysis concerning the enormous implications for Justin Gaethje's upcoming fight. Chael Sonnen, a respected voice in the MMA world, shared his valuable perspective, stressing the brutal, almost crushing pressure of this specific pairing. He emphasized the punishing, merciless nature of the lightweight division itself, which is arguably the most talent-rich weight class in the sport. Additionally, he explained the deep significance of the interim title, breaking down exactly how absolutely critical this confrontation is not just for Gaethje's immediate professional advancement, but for his entire career path and his final legacy in the sport. Building on his thoughtful comments about the truly enormous stakes for Justin Gaethje's next fight, Chael Sonnen, the self-proclaimed villain, then expertly examined the much deeper significance and value of the interim championship itself. He questioned its basic role within the complicated structure of the sport, diving into the complex idea of perceived legitimacy versus the real undisputed champion status. More importantly, he explained exactly why this distinction is so vital for Gaethje's particular path and for the entire lightweight division, setting up much deeper, more philosophical conversations about the very authenticity of such titles and their permanent effect on a fighter's legacy in MMA history books. Now let's step back from the sweeping stories of championships and legacies and focus on something much more immediate and raw. The fighters themselves, right now, at this moment, their present behavior and critically, their headspace. Stephen Barnhill, a sharp observer, examined the often hidden subtle elements that can drastically affect an approaching fight. He emphasized how vital factors like momentum, periods of inactivity, and a fighter's mental condition are for peak performance inside the octagon. Specifically, he highlighted the sharp difference between Justin Gaethje's relatively long break from competition and Paddy Pimblett's seemingly increasing confidence, powered by his recent victories, suggesting these invisible factors could heavily influence the result. And Stephen didn't end there. He pushed that analysis even further, moving from the complex details of current form and the possible effects of layoffs to a direct, brutal comparison of their pure experience and the caliber of competition each fighter has encountered. The conversation shifted beyond just confidence and timing, directly examining their professional histories and their proven achievements, creating a much stronger and more interesting contrast. On one hand, you had Paddy Pimblett's relatively recent opposition, which some might argue hasn't been consistently world-class. On the other, you have Justin Gaethje's completely extensive resume, a brutal gauntlet against nothing but elite, top-5 lightweights, highlighting the massive gap in their battle-tested experience. So, if we look ahead past this immediate showdown for the interim title, what does the future really hold for the lightweight championship picture in the following fight bookings? Well, Michael Bisping, never one to hold back and always packed with sharp opinions, shared his thoughts on how an interim title victory would quickly and dramatically reshape the entire weight division. He argued it would definitely limit Paddy Pimblett's future options, pushing him into harder, higher-stakes matchup. Moreover, Bisping forced the reconsideration of the ongoing conversation about Arman Tsarukyan's apparent overlooking for a title opportunity and the underlying factors that, in Bisping's opinion, wrongly played a major role in that controversial choice. Bisping, with his thorough knowledge of not just the fighting side but also the business and logistical aspects of the UFC, didn't just focus on the immediate title consequence. He brilliantly expanded the conversation beyond championship results to examine the huge ripple effects on upcoming fight cards. He carefully detailed how the outcome of a potential clash between Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje might quickly impact future fight pairing. The complete scheduling of events, and even the planned bouts already being arranged for major upcoming shows like UFC events, this really linked individual performances to the division's overall direction and the complex puzzle pieces of the UFC's matchmaking approach. So, as we bring all these incredibly different viewpoints together, it becomes completely obvious. This isn't just about one single fight. This grand story concerns nothing less than the very direction and future of the entire lightweight division itself. Arman Tsarukyan, in this intricate way, represents pure merit and raw performance, embodying the core belief that elite skill and consistent excellence should be the only pathway to title opportunities. Paddy Pimblett, conversely, represents relentless ambition, widespread appeal, and unwavering confidence. Powered by a huge fan following and undeniable commercial value, Justin Gaethje stands uniquely between them as the experienced veteran, fighting not just an opponent, but also the unstoppable passage of time, his own legacy, and the enormous pressure that comes with carrying an interim title. This fascinating matchup highlights MMA's constant internal struggle between pure merit and undeniable marketability, and its final outcome will fundamentally reshape the division's delicate power structure for years ahead. So let me ask, do you really think the UFC should prioritize and reward merit over pure marketability, or is star power an unavoidable necessary part of championship opportunities in today's era? And perhaps most critically, out of all these amazing fighters, who do you honestly believe deserves the next undisputed title opportunity?